The thalamus is often described as a relay station to the cerebrum, but it should be stressed that there are different types of relays. Yes, sensory information, which is, for example, coming from somatosensory tracts or visual pathways, can synapse in the thalamus and proceed there to the regions of the cerebral cortex, which then become consciously aware of touch or vision or hearing, etc. The thalamus is also involved in higher level relays as well, however, where one region of the cortex sends information to the thalamus, which is then forwarded on to other areas of the cortex. Many of the areas with which the thalamus communicates in the cortex have reciprocal pathways where information is traveling bidirectionally in between these specific regions of the cerebral cortex and the thalamus. The lateral dorsal nucleus of the thalamus is involved in somatosensory processing and spatial memory as it connects inputs from the superior colliculus, the mammillothalamic tract from the hypothalamus and the pretectum, to the parietal lobe and the cingulate gyrus of the cerebrum. It also interacts with limbic areas of the forebrain. The lateral posterior nucleus of the thalamus is largely involved in reciprocal connections to the parietal cortex. This is where the majority of its inputs come from and its outputs are destined to. It is involved in somatosensory processing, connecting with association areas of the brain. In addition to somatosensory processing, it is also involved in visual processing. The pulviner nucleus of the thalamus is the largest thalamic nucleus in primates. It gets its input from the lateral and medial geniculate nuclei of the thalamus and the superior colliculus of the midbrain. And there are a number of pathways which not only go to the cortex, pulvino-cortico pathways, but also reciprocal cortico-pulvino pathways. So it interacts with the occipital, parietal, and posterior temporal lobes of the cerebrum, where it integrates visual and auditory input, visual attention. It is important earlier in life in the development of the visual cortex in a role that it does not play later. And also it is involved in limbic connections. So for example, there is emotional significance to some, say, images, like a threat. Changes are observed in the pulviner nucleus with attention deficit disorder, schizophrenia, and other disorders.